He'll win the average by 8/100ths of a second.
Well, Nellie, hello. What an amazing horse and an amazing run. I always enjoy watching you and sister, probably two of the most amazing girls in the sport. How are you today, Nellie?
Doing good.
Good. So I understand you're somewhere camped out in the world in Texas as rodeo starting to come around a little bit with the finish up of Houston. Is that right?
Yep, we're here in Texas. We're going to run at the Houston makeup here in a few days. So, yeah, we're just glad to be here.
Now, I want to talk a little bit, and we've done this before, and you don't have to go too far, but just the horse in general that you're currently riding, sister. I think it's important for people to hear about the personality, the flexibility, diversity, if you will, because we even saw you rope a steer on her recently, right?
Yeah, she is very versatile, and she's just so much fun to ride in, whatever you're doing, just because she's happy to do a job for you. So it's so refreshing to be on a horse like that wants to work for you.
And talk about your career, because did you start out as a barrel racer, or was you more of a roper with Dad's influence?
I've always barrel raced, but I did start roping pretty young. My family, we're team ropers. My dad and my brother always team roped, and just kind of what we did as a family growing up. So I grew up roping as well. I've always gravitated more towards barrel racing, I think, because I've always just had the horse to do it. And so my dad kind of got into barrel racing because of me. He wasn't necessarily had anything to do with barrel racing before I came along. So he just kind of took that on once I got interested, and we went from there.
So tell me also about this gap between 2010 and the horse you rode then. Was that Blue Duck? Was the horse you rode then?
Yeah.
And then the transition to sister and how that played out for you, because you had a little gap there with building a family and just different horses. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, my first NFR was in 2010 on Blue Duck, and I was pretty young. I think I was 22 or something when I made it. So then we kind of took a hiatus, and we got married and started a family, and 6 years later, sister came along, and it was a lot. I had 2 little kids and a lot going on, but I just knew that she was capable of making the NFR, and so we decided to go for it, and it worked out.
I think even deeper for me with her, I was looking at the list, and I watched you at most of these rodeos, but to win Cheyenne twice, and then the strange little track pin at Salinas and Houston, and then winning rounds in Thomas and Mack. I mean, that is just incredibly rare for a horse to do so good in big pins and small pins like that. How does that play out with a horse like that? How do you do that?
She's so versatile, and she just gives me so much confidence going into strange setups like that, because I know she's not going to do anything off the wall. She's always going to go in there and get down to business. So I just don't have to worry about her doing anything weird or unexpected. Right. And so it gives me a lot of confidence going into those places. And she's just such a confident horse herself. It's always been like that with her from the time she was pretty young. I mean, she was just always like that. That's her personality. So.
Well, you're so solid as a horsewoman, but I got to think that a lot of that comes from having a solid mentor, somebody. I mean, you've had a lot of people in your life, but one consistent person has been Sam, your dad, that has done so much for you and the horses that you're involved with. Talk about your dad as a dad, yes, but as a horse trainer and both combined, and how much he's meant to you through these years.
It's. I don't think people have that coach in their life a lot of times. A lot of times they're just doing it on their own. And I've always had him in my corner coaching me. And he's been more like a coach than, just a dad out there rooting for me. He really helps me with the horses and helps me strategize and helps me kind of navigate rodeos and the whole thing. He's really invested in it as much as anybody. And it's just been really great. I mean, we've always gotten along that way. He's always kind of been there for me. So yeah, I feel really lucky to have that in my corner.
I know we watched your Mother's Day message to your mom, which was just awesome, and your girls jumping in there. And as you start to build your family, talk a little deeper about being a girl. And I'm not going to suggest you're a daddy's girl, but it would appear that way to many of us around. But talk about that even deeper, not just in the arena, but with horses, but in who Nellie Miller has become in her life because of what Sam's done with her.
You know, my dad, he's like the biggest rodeo fan ever. And so he just loves everything and anything about rodeo. And so he's always just really been driven, and I really thrive off of him driving me. I need that motivation sometimes, and he has always been there kind of pushing me out there. I'm pretty laid back and, you know, I don't get too excited about stuff. And so sometimes I need that push from somebody, and he's always been there to do that for me. So
that's awesome. So let me ask you the other question about the other dad in your life. That brings me to James, because he's got two little girls, Peyton and Hadley, that certainly look up to both of you. But what do you see in James? Because, you know, they always say guys marry somebody like their mom. Do you see things that are similar in the way James maneuvers through? She shifts her eyes over to that, because dads are dads, right? So
yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I'm lucky to have him. You know, he's really involved as a dad, and I think the more modern dads are pretty involved, and he does the dishes and helps me in any way I want him to. And so I don't know how to answer this very good.
No, that's perfect. No, I get it. You know, and we mentioned Father's Day coming up in your dad's birthday, and he's been going through some things in life medically and going through different procedures. But when you do things in your life and you look back at moments, we know that you won Reno on his birthday one time, which is coming up. So that's pretty amazing. But when you summarize the overall period in your life and looking back at your parents, is there anything you just want to say to Dad that just go how much you truly appreciate him if he's sitting there listening to you, much like you did your mom?
I hope he knows how much I appreciate him. I feel like I've always been really grateful for our relationship. We've always gotten along and been pretty close. And I just hope that comes through on a daily basis. You know, you don't always get a chance to show it, but yeah, I just hope that he knows how much we appreciate everything he does for all of us. So,
well, I'm sure he does. We've watched him in many joyous occasions over the last few years, being a part of your life and James and the girls. And I know, you know, we talked about it. The people behind the scenes don't always get all the credit, but it takes a small army to accomplish what you have accomplished over the years. And we just enjoy from our post watching all that. And we thank you so much for letting us inside.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, we wish you the best. Have a great rest of the year, and hope we get back to rodeo soon in a better capacity, right?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm ready to go somewhere.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your run out there, and we'll look for you soon. And happy Father's Day, Sam. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Nellie. Bye, James.
Bye.